Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. Joining us on the line now is Barnet Bain. He is a filmmaker and author who works with business leaders and individuals to achieve their full potential. His new book, How to Be a Friend in an Unfriendly World, is not a quick fix or a lecture, but a grounded reminder of what friendship can be. It's written in warm, accessible prose for anyone who's ever asked, what does it really mean to show up for someone? Welcome to the show, Barnet.
It's really a pleasure to join you.
It's lovely to have you. So what prompted you to write a book on friendship?
Well, you know, my real day job is I'm a film director in Los Angeles. And films like What Dreams May Come and Milton's Secret and a number of other films. And so over the years, my filmmaking has taught me that story is the language of the soul, and that every scene, whether it's on screen or in life, is about relationships. Who's listening, who's not, who's awake, who's asleep. So my book grew out of decades of exploring how we direct our own stories, usually without realizing it, and how friendship becomes both the plot and the backdrop for life.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about, isn't it? When we think of all our favourite films or books or TV shows, so much of them are based around friendship in some way.
They're all based on relationship. Every single one of them is based on who we are to each other. And I had an experience a while back. My daughter went away from home to school, and she came home and she was excitedly sharing with me her new life. And I suddenly I realized I was coming at her with all kinds of questions, and they weren't curious questions. They were judgmental questions. Did I like who she was hanging out with? Did I like her courses? Did I like? And she pushed back and she said, well, what is going on here? What is your, what's your problem? And I realized that as long as she was a young woman and living at home and reflecting my values and more or less a mirror of who I was, everything was fine. But when she moved off and began to lead her own life and develop herself and become her own person, then, you know that story of Narcissus who looked into the pond and saw his own reflection and fell in love with it, didn't know it was him?
Yeah.
So I realized that that's kind of what I do, what we all do in life. We seek out people that mirror us, and when they are a little different, then complications happen. And so she started to become her own person, and it made me have, I started to have little speed bumps, and instantly it occurred to me, I should really look into, well, what is going on here? This is not who I want to be, and I'm hurting somebody that I love, and I'm probably doing the same thing with lots of other people in my life. All kinds of unexamined thoughts and assumptions about life are coming up because other people are not quite the same as me. And so I thought there's something to look at here. And I dove into it. And after a couple of years, a book emerged.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about friendships, about relationships. No one ever taught us how to do it. We just kind of fall into it like a pothole. And sometimes it's smooth sailing, and sometimes, you blow a tire.
So it's funny, the difference between romantic relationships and friendships. We hear of the phrase opposites attract when it comes to relationships, which I think a lot of people may have either experienced or observed in their life, that may be true to some extent. But we don't really say that with friendships. We think when it comes to friendship, as you say, we seek out people who are like us in a way.
Well, we seek out people, yes, who are like us, but, it comes from a bigger context. We kind of, here's another thing that happened that'll tell the tale. I was walking near my home and I saw a street performer in the park, and he was blowing these big soap bubbles, huge soap bubbles, these wonderful, wonderful soap bubbles. And then his finale was he blew this enormous soap bubble and he stepped into it. And it was marvelous, but I had this sudden realization. I thought, well, that is what I do. I live inside a bubble of my kind of fixed ideas about everything. And, my thoughts and my upbringing, my education, my religion, my race, my nationality, and all of these things create a worldview. And then when I see people who have something similar, again, narcissists, I gravitate to it. But if it's too far away, I push off, or if it's, worse, I might even make them invisible. So we tend to gravitate, whether it's to relationships that are, romantic or friendships. We gravitate to our bubble. Yeah. And lots of times, we kind of tend to blame politics or technology or opposites attract or whatever that is. But I think it's much closer to home. I think it's inside these little bubbles of our fixed ideas that we don't even know we're living in. We have these kinds of fits, and they have sort of contracts to them, including the romantic opposite attract story. There are sort of contracts, they're usually under the table. It's like, oh, well, you're so different than me, and so I find it attractive. But there is a line that if you cross a certain line, I'm going to get upset. If there are certain things that you say, I'm going to get upset. Certain things that you do, I'm going to get upset. So as long as you can be different than me, but not too different.
So, do you think through your research and writing of this book, has it made you want to seek out more friendships with people who aren't so much like you, or that's not the point?
Well, it wasn't really the thing for me. I have a little garden outside my window, and I take care of it. I have like an obligation to take care of it if I want it to grow and be beautiful. But I don't have any indebtedness. It doesn't owe me anything, and I don't owe it anything. So in a really great friendship, it's the same thing. It's one of life's rare relationships that doesn't owe you anything. And if it does owe you anything, it's not the level of friendship that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, on my social media, I have like 5,000 friends. I've never met any of them. So I'm not talking about that, nor am I talking about 10 acres of garden that I'm not able to tend to. I'm talking about friendships the way I talk about gardens that are a size that I can tend to, and what makes them special is that they don't have any kind of indebtedness. They don't play the game of you owe me.
Yeah, I think it's a sort of classic thing with really good friends who maybe don't live particularly close to each other. You can see each other a couple of times a year and you just go back to how things have always been. Nobody says, oh, it's been a while since you called me, or, oh, I haven't heard from you for ages. There's no judgment. That it's just, oh, it's so great to see you. And that's how it should be.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So, it's a really unique kind of relationship when you have that kind of a friendship, one that doesn't have a transaction in it.
Yeah.
I noticed, like, when I started to look into friends, that the first book on friendship that I'm aware of was written 2,000 years ago by Marcus Tullius Cicero. And not a lot has changed since then.
Interesting.
But what's really surprising about it is that nowadays we kind of move through life at a pace that Cicero could never have dreamed of. And the challenge is that we have to go so fast. Our nervous systems are so overstimulated that we don't get to slow down enough to actually feel connected. And what I mean by that is somebody says something, and in a way, like in an awake friendship, maybe somebody says something that, feels a little messy about me. So in an awake friendship, I might flinch or want to fix or want to defend. But we're moving so fast now that we don't get to take that pause. And what happens is we react. We just our nervous systems don't slow down. We just kind of react. And we react out of that bubble. One of the beauties of a really beautiful friendship is that it allows us to kind of take a pause, to let down our guard a little bit, to slow it down. And in the relationship, in that friend relationship, you get to see, oh, I'm actually reacting to something. I don't have to, something old that's not even about now. And it allows me the possibility of growing. And that's the real point of these kinds of friendships, is that they are opportunities for us to grow and to be called upward by each other.
Yeah.
It's much harder when we just react out of our bubbles.
Mm. You also talk about in the book kind of simple exercises or friendship workouts. What do you mean by that?
Well, there's some just sort of basic kind of hacks or tools, I call them. And one of them is, you have to provide safety for your friend. If your friend doesn't feel safe with you, you can forget the rest. And safety doesn't mean bubble wrap. It just means you're not weaponizing somebody's vulnerability. If somebody says something that is deeply personal, you're careful not to step on it. You're careful not to get sarcastic about it. You're careful not to shut them down. Mm-hmm. You want to keep them open. Another one is, we want to try and reduce the fear of loss, because everybody's a little afraid that people will disappear. So constancy matters even more than intensity or consistency. Like you're talking about friends that you don't see for years, but there's a sort of consistency. You're able to pick right up with it. And so, you could try this. You text a friend that you've drifted from and you write, hey, I'm thinking of you. No reply necessary. Another thing that comes up is nothing shuts people down faster than embarrassment. So when somebody risks being honest, you or vulnerable, you guard that moment. Or when somebody admits a mistake or does something goofy, you say, I've done that too, instead of, kind of taking the piss out of them. Another one is we honor where they're coming from. Everybody is carrying an invisible backpack of family, of culture, of their hopes, their fears. Mm-hmm. So we don't have to like what's in it, but we can respect the weight.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. The invisible backpack.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another thing you mentioned that I just wanted to touch on, a clear look at why friendships fade and how to make them matter again. And I think what you said about getting in touch with a friend that maybe you haven't seen in a really long time, just to say, oh, I'm thinking about you. I did that myself the other day because I heard a podcast or something very similar to what we're talking about now. And it prompted me to message a friend that I haven't spoken to in many years. And we had a few messages backwards and forwards, and it was lovely.
Yes, absolutely. The thing about friendships fading, friendships evolve with life, and as circumstances change, friendships can deepen rather than weaken. If both people are committed to the relationship, you have to feed it. I have to water my plants. But sometimes people grow differently, they mature differently, and it's not unusual and it's not unnatural for some friendships to grow apart. But one of the things to be aware of when friendships start to grow apart, if it's something we're uncomfortable with, then we can make the effort. We can step out and we can say, I'm feeling a little bit disconnected. What can we do to get a little closer, to reach out and plan something together?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If they're a friend that you want to keep and want to keep in your life, and a friendship that you want to nurture, then it's definitely something that's worth doing.
Absolutely. I mean, the biggest thing that I find about friendships is that friends don't necessarily want to be fixed. One of the big lessons in my life is that I had a friend a number of years ago who said to me, he said to me, you're always trying to solve things and fix things. And, I tell you something and you immediately jump in with a suggestion. And I don't need to be fixed. And I noticed that is that's a big behavior in me. And I see it in a lot of people, that we don't have, particularly men, we don't have a lot of bandwidth for being with people who are in their feelings, particularly men and women. So, women are talking about what's going on with them, and men they get uncomfortable. They're not even aware that they're uncomfortable. They just react, and they react by trying to fix a situation. And, my wife always says, I didn't ask you to fix me. I just want you to listen. I don't need fixing. I just want you to listen, because it clears me when I just talk through what's going on. I don't need to be fixed.
Yeah.
And so this fixing thing, this fixation is hard on friends. It causes it causes like a hierarchy in friends, and a really good friendship, people are on. It requires equality. They stand on an equal footing. So if one or the other is always fixing, you're not listening. So you're not being with somebody, so you're shutting them down, you're discounting them. But the other thing is, it distorts the relationship, because suddenly there's a power imbalance. So this ability to just be with somebody.
Yeah.
And, it sounds small, but it's a big act of friendship that can really change someone's day. Is that, for example, around this fixing thing, you put down the phone, you look someone in the eye, and you really listen. That's it.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to be fixed. They want to be presence. They want you to be with them, and that's like the biggest gift that you can give to somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally relate. When I was experiencing grief, or still am, but after the passing of my mother a few years ago, a lot of people, understandably so, feel uncomfortable around people who are grieving, because they're aware that it's a horrible thing and they don't really know what to say. And so many people, coming from a kind place, of course, are wanting to fix you and give you advice and tell you what you need to do and tell you that it's going to get easier and it's going to get better and give you all the advice in the world. But you don't really want any of that. You just want to be able to share the fact that you're really upset. And for someone to say, "Oh, I hear you. That must be awful. I'm so sorry." That's primarily what you want. And it was really fascinating going through it. And since I've been through it, I've seen other people go through it, and I'm really aware of how I react and not try to give them solutions and just hear what they're saying. It's very powerful.
It is, and it's very difficult. It's a muscle that has to be developed. It's very, very difficult for people to be with friends, with others, and really just listen. That's it. People don't want us to fix them. They don't want us to make it better, unless, you're talking about a small child. And even then. But friends, they need us to be with them. That's it. Being fully with them says that you matter. Now, when I try and fix you without being asked, so that's a super useful tool to have. Somebody says something and you're listening to them, and before jumping in with advice, you remember to ask, do you want me to listen or to help?
Yeah, you can just ask. Yeah, absolutely.
You could just ask, because when you just jump in and try and fix something, you're shutting the other person down. You're telling them their feelings don't matter. We're not all just, we're a combination of thoughts and feelings, of strategies and emotions. So when we jump in and just put all the focus on strategies and thoughts, we're discounting the other half of what life is and what is going on for that person.
Yeah.
Whether grief, or they had a good day, or whether they had a big win, or they have a problem, or whatever, or it's stressful, or whatever is going on in another person's life. They just want to share themselves, and they don't want it shut down by somebody jumping in and saying, oh, you should try this, or did you try this, or did you just...
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, it's a fascinating subject, and if people want to find more, they definitely need to get a copy of your book. It's available on our website, TRE.radio. It's called How to Be a Friend in an Unfriendly World, and it's by Barnet Bain, who we've been chatting with. Barnet, thank you so much for joining us.
You're so welcome. It's been a pleasure.